This one's just for you.
No way! It's the spoilers! Yes!
Ho, ho, ho. Enjoy, my boy.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we bring you the complete narrated chapter of One Piece 1170. But before we begin, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And without further delay, let's dive straight into the video. Chapter title, Opposite, also translated as Contrary. Color spread, Jinbei working as an employee at an eel train station, handing out lunch boxes to the passengers, who are the Straw Hats' children. Oda's message, Happy New Year. This year, One Piece will have many grand events. Stay tuned. Page 1. Chapter 1, 1170, begins exactly where 1169 ended, with Loki narrowly dodging Ragnar's attack. Loki rises, furious, demanding to know who threw a hammer at him and screaming for the attacker to show themselves. He then grabs his hammer, confused, realizing there is apparently no one around. Still, the Akuma no Mi is right there. Suddenly, a sound echoes again, the creaking of something moving. Page 2. Loki looks over and realizes Ragnar is moving once more, leaving him completely confused. The hammer begins to rise. It is so heavy that the ground starts shattering just from its movement. Loki yells in disbelief, questioning how something could possibly be that heavy. As the hammer continues rising, the floor and the walls crumble even further. Loki wonders if the castle is collapsing simply because of its age. Once again, the hammer swings toward Loki, sending massive debris crashing down on him. We then see Harald declaring that it is useless. He explains that this Akuma no Mi is a national treasure. It is not that no one has eaten it for hundreds of years. It is that no one was able to eat it without being acknowledged by Ragnar. As Harald speaks, Loki is shown desperately fleeing from Ragnar's relentless attacks. At Harald's feet lie numerous dead giant soldiers. Harald then begins to boast about his current power. Page 4. Before Harald can finish, he is struck simultaneously by Shanks and Gaban. Lightning-like bursts of Conqueror's haki explode from their combined attack, showing just how overwhelming the blow is. Gaban explains that wounds bring proportional pain and that recovery will be extremely slow. By attacking continuously, they can exhaust their enemies until they are no longer able to fight. He adds that the existence of someone capable of coding attacks with Conqueror's haki is the true weakness of their enemies. Enraged, Harald growls Gaban's name. Harald screams in disbelief, demanding to know if Gaban truly intends to oppose him. He swings his massive axe, but Gaban narrowly dodges the king of the giant's attack. Gaban fires back, saying there is no way they would allow a madman like Harald to run free. Shanks then asks how Gaban knows the weakness of the Holy Knights. Gaban explains that the God's Knights have come to take Shanks many times before. A brief flashback appears. A Holy Knight declares that there must be a red-haired child, without a doubt the captain's son, and demands that he be handed over. Gaban concludes by stating that every single time they cut them down. Page 6. Shanks suddenly recalls something, mentioning that someone named Sommers once said something similar. Gaban reflects that it is a nostalgic story from long ago and admits he was surprised to learn that the Holy Land had an active combat unit, since most people believe the celestial dragons are useless. Shanks remarks that they rarely descend to the lower world and truly believe themselves to be gods. He adds that the thought has sent chills down his spine for his entire life. Gaban responds that this is what they call fate. Shanks then declares that he wants to save Harald, revealing that he himself was once saved by someone who had been dragged into the abyss of despair by the Holy Knights. Gaban states that, in that case, the hope lies with Loki. At that moment, Harald launches another attack toward them. Page 8. The scene returns to Loki's battle against Ragnar. Loki, gasping for breath, shouts at the hammer to get out of his way, realizing that it must be the guardian of the national treasure. He then questions why the hammer is moving on its own. Suddenly, the hammer begins spinning at incredible speed. Loki braces himself and raises his own hammer to block. He yells for it to stop. The two hammers collide. Loki's hammer shatters instantly, while Ragnar remains completely unharmed. Page 9. The hammer flies past Loki and bounces across the ground. When it rises again, it has transformed into a squirrel with a massive bump on its head, formed from the hammer's metal. The squirrel's eyes spin uncontrollably and tears begin to form. The scene cuts back to Shanks and Gaban facing Harold. Harold spins his axe violently, slaughtering countless giant soldiers as he roars for everyone to get out of the way. Shanks asks what must be done to bring this chaos to an end. Gaban silently acknowledges the overwhelming power of Harold's conqueror's haki. We then see Jarul. Lying on the ground, he desperately begs the soldiers to stop Harold, saying they cannot allow that Akuma no Mi to fall into Harold's hands. Several soldiers attack Harold at once, stabbing him repeatedly with countless swords. Even so, Harold continues slaughtering them one by one with monstrous strength. At that very moment, we see the squirrel hand the Akuma no Mi to Loki. Loki eats it. The scene only shows the silhouette of his transformation, an absolutely monstrous transformation. From the outline alone, it becomes clear that it is indeed a dragon. The squirrel is overjoyed by what it sees. A powerful roar echoes through the area. The scene shifts back to Harold. The castle is engulfed in flames, and the soldiers lie dead across the ground. Harold stands as a true monster. The atmosphere is terrifying. We see only the silhouette of an overwhelming creature brutally beating Harold. As the final blows land, Loki returns to his normal form, now holding Ragnar in his hand. This happens because Harold, after the brutal beating he received, returns to his normal state, no longer under control. Harold then calls out to Loki, thus demanding that he show him the power of the legend. Pages 13 and 14. Loki, breathing heavily, notices that his father has regained consciousness and points it out. Harold warns him that it is only temporary. He tells Loki not to be deceived and urges him to look around, saying that things have already gone far beyond what is allowed and that he has caused far too much destruction. Loki responds, insisting that Harold was being controlled. Harold replies that it is slightly different, suggesting that this way of thinking was likely influenced by that person. He then tells Loki to think of himself as a leader, as a god, so that he can rule Elbaf magnificently, together with his brother, the two of them in perfect harmony. Loki, in tears, tells his father that he is the worst of all. Harold responds that forcing a son to end his own life is something he would never allow, no matter how worthless a father might be. He adds one final thing he forgot to say, thanking Loki for what he did for Ida. Even though Loki burned the village of Sakamichi and Ida will never return, Harold says he is grateful for Loki's feelings. Loki then says that this is the moment and tells him to end it. Final pages. In a deeply emotional scene, we see Aurist Castle from afar. This shows that Loki has summoned a massive thunderbolt with Ragnar in order to deliver the final blow to his father. Loki remembers the gentle words his father spoke when he held him for the first time. The scene is shown from Loki's perspective, depicting the moment his father first embraced him. Loki strikes Harold. The blow is so powerful that it completely shatters Harold's body in a single instant. In his final thoughts, Harold reflects that what truly matters, all that truly matters, is the future of Elbaf. The very last thing Harold envisions before his death is the sight of children smiling and playing. End of the chapter. No break next week. And that's it, everyone. This was the complete narrated chapter of One Piece 1170. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. See you next time, and thanks for watching.